What is up, everybody? My name is Coleman, and we are at the hotel. Our weekend has started. Yeah, it's right there. Our weekend has started. I skipped the drive because it was boring, and I fell asleep. And we are about to go to sleep because this is like 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, and we're going to get up early in the morning to go do our stuff. So I'll see all y'all in the morning. What's up, everybody? My name is Coleman, and it is another morning, and it is now Saturday, and I just got up and went to go get breakfast, and sooner or later we should be going to the beach where I'm going to video that. And right now I'm in the bathroom. Why? Because my fan was loud and I had to get a quiet place. So, this is just a quick little thing to tell you that we're going to the beach and catch y'all at the beach. Alright, so, guys, supposedly we are going to go to Tybee Island because, as you can see, the waves here ain't that big. So, yes, I catch y'all at Tybee Island if we go, because we're just gonna go there to see if the waves are bigger, and if not, and I don't know what we're gonna do after that. But just catch you wherever I resume. Guys, we are at Wendy's. We're getting us something to eat. And so, yeah, and we just went through Savannah, the town, later on tonight at like 9. We will go do the ghost tour, and I'll video all of that so you can hear the whole back down story of Savannah. And I'll catch you later. Okay, so we're at Tybee Island right now, and as you can see, the waves are much. Yep, the waves are so much bigger, and I cannot wait. So that's all I really wanted to say about Tybee Island. And I know I ain't videoing enough for videoing a lot for the ocean, because I really can't. But for the haunted Savannah doohickey, I'll video the whole thing. All right, catch y'all whenever. Probably back at the hotel. What's up, everybody? My name is. Well, I don't have to say intro. I forgot about that. But we're back at the hotel. This is my brother.
What's up? Injured.
Yeah, he got injured at the
at the beach.
Yeah, at the ocean.
I ate the sand.
All right, so the waves are pretty darn big at the ocean. I can give it that. But I was gonna video when we was getting in the car leaving, but I was too tired and I fell asleep. And then I was gonna video when we got back to the hotel, but then I went to go swimming, and now I'm back from swimming. I just took a shower, and now I just decided to video and to tell y'all that it is close to go to the Savannah haunted thing. What are we doing?
We're going to a Savannah haunted ghost tour.
Ghost tour.
Riding on a horse and buggy.
Yeah, they're gonna tell a story. Now, when I get older, like, how old? 21?
Yeah.
When I get 21, I'm gonna come back up Savannah and do the ones where, like, you go in the buildings that nobody can go to.
That's if you have a channel.
I will. I want to keep this channel forever. But yeah, I'm gonna do that and video that. Hopefully, I actually have a camera then instead of a phone, because I'm recording you off the S8. I mean, it has pretty good quality. But yeah, I catch y'all.
It's not a promotion for the S8, okay?
Look at that. It's beautiful outside. All right, so
Go check out my YouTube channel.
let's still look like he's pointing at me.
I'm gonna put my freaking channel in your description.
How? I'm uploading the video.
Right now?
No, but you ain't uploading it for me, are you?
You know how you get logged into my laptop over your YouTube?
Oh. Alright, yeah, but so I catch y'all when we're leaving or in the car or whenever I resume whenever I remember to.
Alright, James.
So, how's your day, Ty?
Beer. Alright, so right now we're in Waffle House. Haven't ordered yet. I'm about to order. And so close to the great finale ghost story, and I will be videoing that whole time we're in that wagon, and it might cut off because I don't know how long I can video, but I'll video as long as I can. So I catch y'all when I get out of Waffle House. Alright, so there's this guy sitting on a power line.
And they're with him. Sideways.
What a
Really, you can smile at me.
poser.
It's sad when the statue's called. It's not funny. The statue's leaning against the
What?
Not even funny.
He must be famous.
Jay.
Whatever.
Close to so much water, or we're built on limestone and all that. Attract energy. Stuff that I don't really know a whole lot about. The two theories that make the most sense to me about why Savannah is so haunted is firstly, quite simply, because Savannah is literally a city built on its dead. Now, downtown historic Savannah is built right on top of at least 7 different cemeteries. Those are just the ones I know about.
Dang.
Now, we're not complete barbarians. Come on now. We removed the headstones. Duke University actually came to Savannah and they did a study. And they figured out that for every 15 feet you walk here, you have a 60% chance of walking right on top of an unmarked grave. That's a pretty high percentage. Now, the other reason that Savannah, I think, is so haunted is, again, simply because of how old we are. Savannah was established in 1733. We've been around a while. We've seen some things. Now, most people do not think of Savannah when they think of the Revolutionary War. However, we did have the second bloodiest battle of that war fought right here. It's called the Siege of Savannah. In that battle, just around 1,000 soldiers lost their lives. Now, we did not fight during the Civil War. We learned our lesson with the Revolutionary War. We saw Sherman come and threw up our hands and said uncle real fast. But now, because we didn't fight, that means that Sherman didn't burn us. Because Sherman didn't burn us, we have buildings that date back to the 17 and 1800s still. Now, those buildings do hold on to a whole lot of memories. And those memories, every once in a while, like to surface in the form of spirits. Now, if y'all have spent any time here, even if it was just today wandering around, you'll notice that the whole city is just draped in that beautiful Spanish moss. Everybody know what I'm talking about when I say Spanish moss?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, we do have... Easy, boys. Good job, boys. Walk on. Big dip right here, guys. Now, we do have 3.5 squares here. Oops, sorry. 3.5 squares here that have absolutely 0 Spanish moss in them. Now, there is an old local lore or legend that says that Spanish moss will not linger where there are spirits at unrest. That is, quite frankly, the only reason I know that there's not Spanish moss in those squares. So I'll point them out as we come along, but keep your eyes open to that moss. Now, this block here on my right, one block over, this block down, that's built right on top of Savannah's very first cemetery. It is the first of 4 we'll be walking over this evening. The square that we're coming into, this is called Right Square. Right Square was that half square that I was talking about with no moss. You dissect this square right down the middle here diagonally. To the left, you'll find no Spanish moss. To the right, though, there's plenty of it. Now, Right Square, when Savannah was first founded, was also known as the Hanging Square. Now, as the name suggests, this is where we carried out public executions. In fact, the gallows stood on that far corner of the square on the left side, right where there is absolutely no Spanish moss. come through this fair in the evening and they take photographs. A lot of times they notice when they go back and look at those photographs and they've caught something strange. They've caught what looks like a long white column of smoke or mist, and it hangs just about 4 feet off the ground. Right at about the same height someone would have been hanged at. Now there is one person in particular that haunts that square. Her name is Alice Riley. Alice Riley came over to Savannah as an indentured servant in the early 1700s. This means she borrowed money to come over here. The way she was going to pay it back was by working it off. Now the man that she was made to work for, though, turned out to be absolutely horrible. Well, they weren't going to make up their minds. Turns out that man would beat Alice regularly and viciously. Beat her, as well as do rather unspeakable things to her regularly. Well, one day Alice decided that she'd had enough. She came up with a plan to murder that man. Now she actually went through with it too. Almost got away with it. In fact, the authorities caught her right outside of town. Walk on, boys. Now they caught her, they brought her back here. They tried her. They found her guilty. Now as soon as the judge handed down the sentence to hang Alice, she cried out. She said, Judge, you cannot hang me. He said, well, why on earth not? She said, Judge, because I have a secret. I'm pregnant. Now that judge did take just a modicum of sympathy towards her, and he decided to let Alice live out the last 7 months of her pregnancy. Now Alice did give birth to a little baby boy, and just about 2 hours after having that child, they hanged her in Wright Square. She was actually the very first woman ever executed in Georgia. Now unfortunately, that baby boy did not live much longer without his mother. And now today, if you go through that square, you've got a small baby with you, and you've got the canopy up over the stroller, or you've got a blanket over that baby's face to shield it from the sun. It's said that for just a moment, you'll feel distracted. Like maybe you dropped your keys somewhere, or you think you left the coffee pot on. You'll realize, no, everything's fine. And you'll look back towards that baby. And you'll notice that the blanket has been pulled down off that child's face, or the canopy has been pushed back. Now, nothing bad ever happens to the child, but that is said to be Alice still looking for her baby today. Now, I've actually never done that experiment. I do not have any children of my own, and your friends really will stop calling you back very quickly if you call them and ask them to borrow their baby for an experiment, because they don't seem to like it. Get real protective over their children. Gotta let all these cars pass again. This brick house here on my right, it is the Foley House Inn today. Really pretty, nice little bed and breakfast today. Come on, car. Come on, car, without your lights on. Walk on. Now, originally that was built as a home for Mr. and Mrs. Foley. See, we got real creative. Mr. Foley actually died. Now, he didn't die of any nefarious reasons. He died of natural causes. But unfortunately, that left Mrs. Foley with absolutely no source of income. This was during a time where women did not work. The only way for a woman to have any kind of money was if her parents had given her money, or if she were married and her husband had money. Mrs. Foley's family did not give her any money, and she was absolutely not willing to get remarried so soon after her husband had died. So she thought long and hard about it. Interesting. And she decided that she would open up her home as a boarding house to people passing through town. She realized that was a risky venture for a single woman. So she made sure to get at least 3 different references from each individual staying with them that said that those people were good, decent people. Well, now, as these things tend to happen, one night a man came along. Now, he didn't have any references, but he did have cash and a very charming smile. Those 2 things together will open up a whole lot of doors for people. So she allowed him to stay. Now, most evenings, that man would have a little too much to drink, and he would make passes at Mrs. Foley. Now, Mrs. Foley was very genteel about the whole thing. She just sort of brushed it off without saying much about it. Until one evening, that man had far too much to drink. He ended up bursting into her bedroom, intending to do her harm. Now, Miss Foley thought really quickly. She actually grabbed a brass candlestick holder by the side of her bed. She hit him over the head with it. She killed that man. Now, Mrs. Foley did not want to call the police because, let's face it, police are bad for business. So, she ended up going next door to a friend of hers' house. She told him what had happened and said, "I have no idea what I'm going to do now." He looked at her and said, "Mrs. Foley, don't you worry about it. I'll take care of everything." They never spoke of it again. Now, fast forward to 1999, which is far too recent for me to be comfortable with. They were doing renovations in that home, and they ended up deciding to tear down one of the superficial walls. Well, inside that wall, they found a skeleton. Now, they were able to date that skeleton back to the time when Mrs. Foley owned the house. Walk on. Now, before that skeleton was found, there are not a whole lot of reports of anything strange happening in that home. However, after that skeleton was found, there are a whole lot of reports of weird things happening in that home. Now, you are allowed to bring small dogs into that hotel. And now, most common report is that no matter how old the dog, no matter what breed the dog, and no matter how well trained the dog, there are certain rooms that dog will not go in, and hallways that they will not walk down. That dog will very often sit and stare at a blank corner and growl, have the hair on the back of his neck stand straight up. Now, I was telling that story maybe a month ago to a couple, and they had their little dog with them. And they had no idea that the Foley House Inn was haunted. Turns out they had stayed there about 6 months ago, and they had their small dog with them. And they, for the life of them, could not figure out why that dog would not go down the hallway to their bedroom. They said every night they had to pick that little dog up and walk it to their bedroom. They'd never seen it do anything like that. Now, there are also reports of people seeing a tall, shadowy figure in the courtyard of that home. But then, of course, whenever anybody goes to investigate, it does disappear. This home here on my right, large orange house here. Boys. Oh, it is called the Old Sorrel Weed House. Don't giggle, it's just a last name. Now, that is considered to be one of the most haunted homes in Savannah. Where are you going, Hearst? Sorry, I gotta let these guys go through. Now, just about every paranormal investigator and TV show has come to this home and done a special on it of some sort. They've all found strange things there. Now, they actually do a history tour during the day and a haunted tour in the evening. I'm too chicken to do either one of them. And the story goes that in the 1800s, Mr. and Mrs. Sorrel lived in that home, happily for a while too, until Mrs. Sorrel caught Mr. Sorrel red-handed having an affair with one of their young beautiful servant women. Now remember, this is the 1800s. So rather than live with the shame of knowing that her husband was sleeping with one of their servants, Mrs. Sorrell decided to jump out of a second-story window head first. Now, just a few weeks after Mrs. Sorrell committed suicide, that young, beautiful servant, she was found in the carriage house hanged. Now, officially, that hanging was ruled a suicide. However, absolutely everyone in town knew it had been murder. They believed it was Mr. Sorrell trying to cover up any evidence of his affair. Now, when ghost hunters, I always have to get that right, ghost hunters came to Savannah, they did a special on that home, and they went into the carriage house out back, and they did a recording of their conversation. It's just a regular conversation. Now, during the conversation, during the recording, they didn't hear anything strange. Nothing strange happened. However, when they went back to listen to that recording of their conversation, they could hear in the background a woman screaming bloody murder. Now, that is thought to be the woman that Mr. Sorrell killed, screaming for her life. Now, there are also a lot of videos of the carriage house out back, of things being thrown across the room when there's no one in that room. Pictures, books, even coat hangers will go flying across that room with a decent amount of force, too. Someone is clearly very unhappy about being there, so. Now, the house itself is also haunted for a slightly different reason, though. All this land that we're walking on now, including where that home was built, this is actually where the siege of Savannah took place. This is where those 1,000 soldiers lost their lives. Now, when they built the old Sorrell Weed House, they did build it right on top of Revolutionary War soldiers' bodies. Now, if you go in the basement of that home, there are a whole lot of reports of people seeing full-body apparitions of those soldiers. Walk easy. Easy, boys. Teddy. Teddy. Walk easy. You'll be a dull little man. The good thing you're super cute. Full-body apparitions. People often report feeling grabbed on the shoulder. One woman who rode on my carriage, she told me she very clearly heard a man laughing in her ear when no one else in her party heard it. Now, another couple that took my tour, they showed me a photograph they had taken in that home of one of the mirrors. Now, in the reflection of that mirror, you can pretty easily make out just about half of a woman's face. Now, it wasn't a gory, bloody picture at all. It's just simply that the other half wasn't there. Now, the woman that I used to work with, who I've gotten some of these stories from, she went in that house twice, both times during the day, and she now absolutely refuses to go back in that home. She won't even tell me what happened there. She just won't go back in it. Now, people are a lot braver than I am, and they want to go in that home. This may sound a little weird, but I do recommend if you take that ghost tour in that home, grab a little salt packet from To Go Silverware, put it in your pocket. It's an old voodoo trick. It'll keep spirits at bay.
This is supernatural.
Trying to simple salt.
It's a weird thing. I don't know if y'all have ever heard when you spill salt to throw it over your left shoulder.
Yeah.
Y'all ever heard that? Same principle. Comes from the same place.
What about surrounding yourself in a salt circle?
You can do that. It takes a whole lot of salt though. It's a lot of salt. It's hard to clean up.
Like the wind did that trick for you.
You can try it though.
We're out
Yeah,
there.
that's a TV show.
Now this home here on my right, this is the Hamilton Turner Inn. Gorgeous bed and breakfast now. But originally, that was another one of those single-family homes. Nothing too big or extravagant, though. Just a cozy little 14-bedroom house. It was originally called the Hamilton Mansion. I can understand why. Now, after the Hamiltons lived there, a family called the Turners lived there. They were clearly very wealthy, and they loved to show off their wealth. Now, they would do that by having large, extravagant, lavish parties there. Now, again, this is in the late 1800s now, and when I say lavish, I mean lavish. So, sorry guys, I'm loud. I'm not too motorcycle loud. So now when the Turners would throw those big parties, they would have their 3 young children go up onto the 3rd floor of that home. It was like a game room up there. There was a pool table up there. There were puzzles, games, toys, all sorts of things to keep those children occupied while the adults were having their party. Now, very quickly, they figured out that the very best way for a 7-year-old to play pool is by hitting one of the pool balls as hard as you can, thereby knocking it off the table. Clearly the most fun way to play pool. Now, they played that for a little while, then they figured out that if they hit that pool ball in just the right way, they would not only knock the pool ball off the table, but they would send it sailing down those 2 flights of stairs, thereby giving the children an excellent excuse to go spy on the adults in all their fancy clothes. But that quickly became their very favorite game. Now one night they were playing their game, and it was their youngest daughter's turn to go retrieve that pool ball. Now unfortunately she got too close to that top step. She slipped, fell down the 2 flights of stairs. She did not survive. Now the Turners did very quickly move out of that home after that happened. You can understand why they didn't want to live in a house where their youngest daughter had died. Now, they remained a residence for a while and then became a hotel. Now, ever since it's been a hotel in all its different variations, people have reported strange things happening there. People often report being able to hear a little girl giggling in their room where there is not one. They also report hearing a child's footsteps running up and down the hallway. Now, when they open their door to tell that child to please not run up and down the hallway at 3 o'clock in the morning, there's no one there. Well, every once in a while, someone will hear a very loud thunking, like a pool ball rolling down those 2 flights of stairs. Now, about 6 months ago, I'd say, I was giving a history tour to a family. Now, I was pointing out the Hamilton Turner Inn. I was talking about it. It's historically significant. And as I was talking about it, the mother's eyes got really big. I'll never forget the look on her face. Priceless. She goes, "You know that hotel's haunted, right?" I said, "Yes, ma'am, I've heard." She goes, "Well, I stayed there about a year ago, and it's so creepy, I don't know if I could ever stay there again." I was like, "Okay, well, now you gotta tell me everything about it. You open the store, you gotta tell me the story." So this is her story. Now, she said she and her husband stayed at that hotel for a few nights. And one night, she was getting ready for bed. She was in the bathroom brushing her teeth. Now, she swore the air conditioner did not turn on and the heat did not turn on. Nothing in the room changed. But all of a sudden, and with a little bit of violence, the bathroom window that opened out on a hinge like that, she said it flew open. What? What did she say? She said it flew open. And before she had time to think, she went to go close that window. So she grabbed that window, she went out, reached out, grabbed the knob of that window and tried to pull it in. She said when she went to pull, it felt like someone was on the other side, tugging back. She very quickly came to her senses, ran into the bedroom, told her husband what had happened, and told him that they were checking out immediately. Well, her husband laughed at her, said there's no such thing as ghosts. It was a very expensive hotel, and we're not going anywhere. So, while they did not check out that evening, they did, however, check out the very first thing the next morning. Now, he said, over the course of the evening, he was awoken to hear a little girl in his bedroom giggling. He also said he felt pressure on the bed, like someone had sat down where there was no one there. He said he left Savannah believing in spirits. Here on my right, this is Colonial Park Cemetery. Now, Colonial Park Cemetery is Savannah's oldest surviving cemetery. I know that's a funny thing to say. It just sounds a whole lot better than saying, we only built on top of half of this one. Now, this cemetery is half the size it used to be. This is the third time this evening we're rolling on top of the cemetery. In fact, if you're able to look over at the sidewalk, you'll notice that it's not level. There are hills and valleys in it. Rolls a little bit. And that's because when they laid this sidewalk down, there were still bodies underneath, decomposing at different rates. Now, my favorite thing about this sidewalk, though, is if you look at it, you'll see that these bricks are carved funny, and they also shine when the light hits them just right. See how they look wet? Even the ones that aren't wet, they look wet? Yeah. Mm-hmm. They look wet like that because of the way they're carved. They're little circles and lines, like I said, carved in them. And those are, in fact, voodoo bricks. Now, in voodoo culture, it is believed that spirits cannot cross over water. We all came to a stop really quickly. So, at one point in time, this entire cemetery would have been lined in those bricks in order to keep the spirits inside that cemetery. Today, only one side is paved in those bricks. Oops. Now, there really are a gazillion stories about Colonial Park Cemetery. And if I were to tell you even a quarter of them, we'd be here all week. She's awesome. Now, any haunted stories that you hear about Colonial Park Cemetery that have happened in, say, the last 20 or so years, keep in mind, those stories have happened during the day. This cemetery is locked up tight at night. Cannot get in it. It's actually locked up in order to keep out. There were vandals as well as voodoo practitioners. People were stealing fresh grave, or not fresh, but grave dirt at midnight from the cemetery. Voodoo. Now, my favorite story about that cemetery happened about 10 years ago. You can actually look this story up online. In fact, if you go on YouTube and you type in Savannah Ghost, the very first video that pops up will be the story I'm going to tell you. It's a good one. So, like I said, about 10 years ago, the family came to Savannah just to visit, and they decided to tour Colonial Park Cemetery. It is a beautiful cemetery. I do recommend you go tour it. It's cool. Well, they gave their son a handheld camcorder. You can tell it's about 10 years ago. I don't even think they make those anymore. But he goes around videotaping everything. And now, the next day, he went back to look at what he recorded. And he noticed that he caught something strange on that video. And that's the video you can see online. Now, in this video, you see he's kind of panning around. And in the background, there's what looks like a little boy. Now, you really can't tell if that little boy is shadowy or if it's just grainy old footage. But you see a little boy, like, darting around playing. And then, all of a sudden, this little boy makes the most unhuman, sort of unearthly motion. Runs around, stops, jumps straight up into a tree, hangs out in that tree for a second, drops straight back down, runs about 3 steps, disappears. Now, so the son saw this and realized he caught something special, so he showed his parents. parents really realized they had something special, and they sent that video out and got it trademarked. As soon as they got it trademarked, they sent it to every paranormal investigator that they could get a hold of. Now, a paranormal investigator cannot, under any circumstances, say absolutely 100% you caught a ghost. What they can do, though, is say absolutely 100% that video has not been tampered with. That's what they were able to say. For the past 10 years, people have been trying to disprove and debunk that video to absolute no avail. That video is 100% true. It's creepy. The home here on my right, that's the Owens Thomas house. Well, I have had people see a face in one of those windows at this time of night when that's a museum today, there's no one in there. Now, the last individual to live in that home before it became a museum, her name was Mrs. Thomas. Mrs. Thomas did donate her home to the Telfair Academy. They own the museums and some of the houses around town. She wanted to make sure that the home wasn't going to be destroyed, so she donated it to a museum. Well, now, Mrs. Thomas, she was alive every year on her birthday. She had a tradition to have about 10 of her closest friends over. Now, they would have a really lovely dinner party. You know, a little too much to drink, a little too much to eat. Have a grand time. Now, everyone looks forward to it every year. Unfortunately, the last year that Mrs. Thomas was alive, she died just a few weeks before that last birthday. Now, she was elderly, it was not a surprise. But now, her friends knew that she was donating that home to a museum, and they really wanted to have that one last party there. They wanted to celebrate her life. So they organized a party, and they decided to invite a reporter. They wanted to have someone document her story as well. Now, that reporter did get to the home a little too early. Rather than show up to a party early, which is always a no-no, he decided to wander around that square for a minute. Sort of meandered around, ran into a woman, had a conversation, 5-10 minute conversation, nothing of consequence, just talked about Savannah, the home. Then he went into the house. Well, he was greeted by the ladies of that party, and he was shown a picture of Mrs. Thomas. They had actually never met before. Now, as soon as he saw that picture, his face completely drained of all color. Now, he swore that was, in fact, the woman he had been talking to in the square. Now, she is occasionally seen today. Like I said, I've had people see her in the windows. You'll notice when I look at that house, I look at it really quickly and I turn away at night. I'm good, I don't need to see Mrs. Thomas. But that is who said to still be there. This square they're coming into, this is Reynolds Square. Look closely. See if you notice anything missing from this square. That's right. There is not a strand of Spanish moss in this square. Oh, they are rocking out. That's serious. That is serious. Now, it does sort of detract from the mood, but this is the fourth and thankfully final time this evening that we'll be walking on top of a cemetery. However, if it is a little bit worse, we'll be walking right on top of the Native American burial ground this time. It's right underneath this Georgia Power building and this road right here. However, I do not think that those individuals are the ones who keep the moss off of these trees. I actually think that that's a different story. Now, that story dates back to 1820. 1820 was a very bad year for Savannah. We had a yellow fever epidemic that killed just under 700 people that year. In fact, if you go into Colonial Park Cemetery, you'll see a mass grave and a little plaque that says in 1820, just under 700 people died of yellow fever. Now, I always thought that was strange. Just under 700 people. 1820 wasn't that long ago. We had a census. We know how many people there were. We should know how many people died that year. So I looked it up. turns out we know exactly how many people died that year from yellow fever. We're just not willing to write that number down in any cemetery. Because in 1820, we had exactly 666 individuals die from yellow fever. Now, what that has to do with this square is that in 1820, we didn't know what caused yellow fever or how it was spread. So, as an added precaution, before we buried the bodies, we brought them to this square, Reynolds Square, and we burned them. Now, again, that's not so bad until you realize that one of the very end phases of yellow fever is a coma-like state. Some of the individuals that we burned in this square were still alive. Now those are the individuals that I think keep the Spanish moss off of these trees. So, I don't know, maybe a month and a half ago, I was giving a tour to a group of Girl Scouts, and they wanted to know where to take pictures to catch anything paranormal. So, when we were coming into this square, I said, this is the square, you take pictures here. You'll find all kinds of strange things there. So, they started taking photographs. And turns out, one of them caught a pretty good photograph. They handed it up to me, and it was very clearly Reynolds Square. I know that square, I know the buildings around it. It wasn't even this dark out. Picture of the square. However, the monument in the middle of the square is John Wesley. He did not show up in that photograph. Hands to God. Wasn't there. In its place was what looks like a very large bonfire. I don't know how to explain the picture that I saw, but I saw it. Now I've seen people go and take a bunch of photographs in that square, all in a row, and about every second or third photograph has shown up completely black or completely white. Saw one woman go to take a photograph there, and as soon as she hit the button on the screen to take a picture, that image flipped upside down. Now at the end of the tour, when she went to go check that photograph, to make sure it really was upside down, even though I saw it, it was right side up. I was driving through that square not too long ago with my husband. We were listening to my iPhone through the radio. Now, like I said, I don't have any children. There's no reason for me to have a child's voice on my phone. Halfway through the song we were listening to, it stopped. About 3 seconds of the child saying something, and then the music started again. I thought my husband was going to pass out. You think I'm a wuss? He makes me look brave. He won't go back in that square. I, in fact, only go in that square on haunted tours. Otherwise, I don't do it. I don't like that square. It's creepy. It's creepy even in the daytime. Okay, this square is Johnson Square.
Yeah, like this way. Like this.
I can't. Look, it happens all the time. Weird is a weird. I do not care for that square.
I'm video.
Say, this is Johnson Square. This isn't nearly as nefarious as Reynolds Square. But there is absolutely no Spanish moss in this square either. None. This is actually the largest square we have, too. About 22 of these large live oak trees in it. It really should be blanketed in Spanish moss. I've never seen any. Now bear with me, because this story has a lot of history to it. Sorry. It has to do with the monument in the middle of Johnson Square. Now that monument is for a man named Nathaniel Greene. Nathaniel Greene was the second highest ranking officer in the Revolutionary War. Second only to George Washington. Now, for his services in that war, he was awarded a nearby plantation called Mulberry Grove. Publicly, Greene was very, very thankful for that plantation. However, privately, not at all. Greene was originally from Rhode Island and reportedly did not care much for Savannah. He said he found the heat here to be oppressive. He might have had a point. Now, Green also found out the hard way that all of our beautiful Spanish moss is home to really nasty little red bugs called chiggers. If y'all didn't know, don't play with the Spanish moss. It's got chiggers in it. So one day, Green ordered all of his workers to go out and remove every bit of Spanish moss from his plantation. Well, a couple weeks later, he went out to go check on their work. Keep in mind, this was the middle of summer, but he did still decide to wear a wool hat and a wool coat as added precaution against those chiggers. Well, lo and behold, that man passed out from a heat stroke. That's just what happens if you wear wool in Savannah in the summer, though. Easy. Wool. But now, unfortunately, because medical advancements were really not very advanced at that time, Green actually died due to complications from that heat stroke. Yeah, it seems kind of dramatic. Sorry, guys, hold on.
Swung, I hate this environment.
Walk on.
My cheeks are on fire.
Now, originally, Green was buried in Colonial Park Cemetery. Well, a couple years later, the Marquis de Lafayette, he built that monument for Green in the middle of Johnson Square. We decided that that monument would make a much better headstone. So, we dug him up and we reburied him in the middle of Johnson Square. That is where he's buried today. Now, the story goes that about a week after he was buried there, every bit of Spanish moss disappeared from that square. Gone. Now, I really have never seen any there. There is Spanish moss in this square up ahead. It's what, 100 yards away? Now, I, honest to God, have absolutely no reason to tell you why there's not Spanish moss in those squares, except for to say that Spanish moss does not linger where there are spirits at unrest. Now, occasionally, people will try to give me reasons as to why there's not Spanish moss in those squares. They'll say things like, well, those... But I've been in Savannah in a hurricane. There's still Spanish moss on the trees. People will say, well, the city must come around and take down all that Spanish moss. Honestly, that would take about 8 years. And I would also see some of the moss accumulate and then it would be taken down. It would accumulate and then be taken down. I've never seen any at all. Now, if you guys ever figure out a better reason why there's not Spanish moss in those squares, come on by and tell me. I'd be happy to know. Otherwise, I just drive around being freaked out. Now, y'all, we are coming up on Teddy and Murphy's very favorite part of the tour. The end. They get nightmares. But if y'all have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer for you. Whether they are horse history or haunted.
Alright, so I just got done with the tour and hopefully this video uploads, and if y'all see anything in the tour that I don't see, please
No, talking Tyler.
Please.
Talking to Tyler's video.
Yeah, his phone stopped working in the middle of taking a picture, but if you see something in this video that I did not see, please let me know in the comments and I'll go look at it, and I'll catch y'all in the morning. Peace. Do it. Shoot. Whoops. Oh, bye.